Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're on. Yeah, thank you everybody for coming along. Everybody's more than welcome. I'll just run through the fire logistics. We don't expect to have a fire test tonight in the premises. So if the alarm does go off, it's a genuine alarm. There are 4 fire exits to the far left, top right and bottom right. So you can exit by any of those, please in an orderly fashion. We've made sure that we've kept those exits clear of chairs. I've got a team down there that are making sure that's clear. The toilets, you can go to the left, far left to the toilets, or there's toilets out to the top right and to your right. Thank you very much.
Item number 1 on our agenda is declarations of interest. Now, I am aware of page 6, the questions and the complexities of this, so I would hope that everybody who has considered this issue has taken the appropriate advice. So could I ask any member if they have any personal or prejudicial interest to declare, please? Can you deal with that?
Heather's first. Want me to ask him?
Yes, please.
Councillor Speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've taken legal advice and I would like to declare a personal interest on 2 counts. The first one being that 2 years ago, my husband and I, gave permission for Quadrilla to access our garden when they did the 3D seismic geological survey, which lasted for about 3.5 weeks. And the second reason is because I live nearby to the proposed site at Rosica Wood. So I am allowed to speak and vote. Thank you.
Howard Henshaw.
Councillor Henshaw, Howard.
I'd like to declare a personal interest in item 7 as a life member of Fire Rugby Club, who Quadrilla are now sponsoring the rugby shirts this year.
Councillor Chew.
Alan, I've got a personal interest as the Quadrilla gave a sum of money to the Village Hall Committee and I am a member of the Village Hall Committee.
Councillor Hayhurst.
Mr. Mayor, I declare a personal interest in the fact that I'm a member of Alswick Community Projects Fund, which has received funding from Quadrilla, and also Alswick Parish Council, which has also received funding. But more importantly, I am also a member of the Development Control Committee of Council, and I will therefore have to withdraw from the meeting when any matters with regard to tracking of this project.
Councillor Fiddler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Like Councillor Heather Speak, I am in receipt of an easement payment for access to my land in the seismic geological survey that occurred 2.5 years ago. But unlike Councillor Speak, I've taken legal advice and I am declaring a prejudicial interest.
Councillor Fazakerley.
Thank you. I have to declare a personal interest because I am the council representative. I'm the council representative on the Lowther Trust, and the Friends of Lowther received a donation from Quadrilla.
Could I just remind members to please try and use the microphones and turn them off after you finish speaking. Councillor Threlfall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mine is the same as Councillor Speak and Councillor Fiddler. I declare a personal and prejudicial interest in item 7 for the entering onto my farm for the intrusion and access for the 3-day seismic survey data, which was gained in April 2012.
Councillor Pounder.
I declare a personal interest as a member of Wheaton Village Hall Committee, who received a donation from Quadrilla, and a member of Steyning Parish Council, who in turn also received a donation from Quadrilla.
Councillor Aitken.
Personal interest, I'm a member of Fylde Rugby Club who has been sponsored by Quadrilla.
Have we any more members that have a declaration? Councillor Chedd.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. A personal interest on account of being a member of Elswick Village Hall Management Committee, Elswick Parish Council and the Elswick Community Projects, all of which have received donations from Quadrilla.
Councillor Singleton.
Yes, I have a personal interest in Staining in Bloom. Although I'm not a member of that group, I am a parish councillor and also a Wheaton Village Hall Committee.
Thank you very much. And could I just...
Councillor Jacks.
Sorry, I have been said, it said that as a town councillor that I have a personal interest as well. I don't know if that is correct or not.
The monitoring officer has given out advice to all members. It's their responsibility to declare any interest if they feel they've got them.
All right, everybody, we're all in the clear now. One thing that I would like to say, for the avoidance of doubt, and particularly for members of the general public, that as and when a planning application does come in and is determined, it is the County Council who are the Minerals Planning Authority. And it will be the County Council, not Fylde Council, who will be responsible for making any planning decisions that are made on these applications and also appearing or defending them at any public inquiry. So the position of Fylde Council is that they will be a consultee, as each of the parish councils will. So I think people need to be aware of that formal situation which ultimately will develop. Thank you very much. Item number 2 on the agenda is the confirmation of the minutes of our previous meeting held on the 14th of May. I'm happy to confirm these, propose these as a correct record.
And I'm happy to second those minutes, Mr. Mayor.
Is everybody in favour? Thank you very much. Item number 3 is the Mayor's announcements. And I have one announcement, simply mentioning that time goes by very quickly. 30 years ago, Eric Bamber, who was the Fylde Mayor then, was invited to sign a partnership between Fylde and the town of Werner in North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany. And this was the time that all these partnerships were being almost sponsored by the EU. Sadly, Eric, as you know, died a couple of months ago, and I did mention to him before he died that this partnership has been successful. Many school children from this area have gone over to Werner and vice versa, and arrangements were being made to celebrate that 30th anniversary. And that took place in this town 2 weeks ago, and it was a very successful weekend. Successful in many ways, in that the weather was perfect, that there were a lot of people there, that the Town Council here in St Anne's have helped to reinvigorate this partnership, and finally that the Germans were here and they were actually celebrating winning the World Cup on that day. So I was asked to sign the charter again, or a new charter, to commemorate this, and I think we have Ralph Hepworth, who does a lot of work in organising this. He's the Vice Chairman of the Twinning Association. I believe he's asked if he can just present to me on the town's, on the borough's behalf, the plaque signifying this. Would you like to... Are you able to step up?
This side.
There's some steps here rather than having to jump.
Thank you. Just say a few words.
Yes, go on.
Okay. On behalf of the Twinning Associations of both Lytham St Anne's and Werner, I would like to present you with a framed copy of the Charter signed by representatives of the two towns to celebrate 30 years of twinning. I would like to thank the Foulborough Mayor and his wife for their support during this visit, and Foulborough Council for their generosity in helping us mount such a momentous and successful occasion. Since our 38 friends returned to Verna, we've had nothing but praise from them for such an enjoyable and rewarding visit. One of the two journalists from Verna they brought too, who was part of the group, said, "Our work showed it is possible to fill the term twinning with life." Press coverage in both Lytham St Anne's and Verna has been tremendous. We're sure this visit will be remembered for a long time, particularly as Lothar Christ, the Verna Burgmeister, put it, "We came as friends from Verna and went home as world champions." Kevin, can I present that to you?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ralph. And can I say that these twinning arrangements are done without any costs other than maybe £5 here or there to Foulborough Council. Thank you. Members will have seen the email regarding the death of a past mayor of this borough, Councillor Margaret Prokopides. Margaret, I think, was the deputy leader when I was first elected in 1999, and I think it would be appropriate if we stood in silence for a few moments. Thank you very much. I turn now to agenda item number 4 and the Chief Executive. Do you have any communications to report, please?
I have no formal communications to report, but I noticed and welcome the number of people here tonight. If we get advance notice of the idea of number of people that are coming, we will make necessary accommodation to ensure everybody can sit down comfortably, possibly even stretch to get in some refreshments. So if there is advance notification next time, it does help us accommodate you, but you are more than welcome.
Thank you very much. We now turn to item number 5 on our agenda, which is questions from the Member of Council. I understand there's one question from a Member of Council this evening, and I would like to invite Councillor Rhodes, despite what it says in the agenda paper that it's the Chief Executive, it is the Councillor's job to put her question, and I'd be grateful if she would do that personally.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can the portfolio holder, in consultation with the monitoring officer, give assurance that all councillors holding office within the area of Foulborough have declared the interests they should have declared with regard to payments or benefits made to them by Quadrilla or its agents?
Thank you. Can I turn to you, Chief Executive, to see if you're... I'm sorry. I will turn over and get the fact that Councillor Buckley, I think, is going to respond to this question first of all. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Responsibility for interests rests with the individual members of the respective councils across the Fylde. Interests that are registered by councillors under the Code are published on the internet for Fylde Council. In addition, individuals are invited to make declarations at formal meetings regarding specific topics, and we have heard that tonight. As a consequence, the responsibility for assurances in this regard rests with the individual elected members in light of the circumstances which might arise in relation to any payments or benefits made to them by Quadrilla or its agents. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. I believe that the person asking this question, the member asking this question, is entitled to one relevant follow-up question. Do you have any question? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I please be assured that an item will go on the Parish Council liaison meeting so that this can also be discussed at that level with the town and parish councils?
Yes, whilst I don't think we as a borough, are we entitled to put the items on their agenda? Yes. Right, well in that case I've got the Chief Executive's opinion that that will be carried out. Thank you. Is there anything further to add, Councillor Buckley? Thank you. Agenda item number 6 are questions from members of the public, and I think we probably have a record number of questions here tonight, so I'm awfully sorry, Alan, but you've got the job of reading them all out. Chief Executive.
Thank you. Question number 1 is from Susan Holliday. Organisations such as the RSPB, National Trust, etc., have raised concerns regarding the lack of appropriate regulation for onshore fracking. There is also emerging research highlighting health issues to people who live in close proximity to fracking sites, particularly as a result of flaring, which releases radon gas, a carcinogenic substance, and methane gas, greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. As we live within 300 metres of the proposed fracking site at Preston New Road, where Quadrilla are proposing 2 flares, this gives us great concern. Will Fylde Borough Council ask Lancashire County Council to make green completion mandatory for all phases of the exploration and press Lancashire County Council and the government to introduce regulation specific to onshore high volume fracking with regular and independent monitoring of fracking operations to ensure the environment in respect of neighbouring residents and local wildlife is not adversely affected.
Thank you. I would now like Councillor Felthall, please, to respond to this question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the Task and Finish group in 2011 and 12, and then the Shale Gas Member Working Group set up by this Council in September 2012, there has been almost 4 years' work by this Council focusing on regulation and monitoring of shale gas activity. The primary objective of both these cross-party working groups has been to ensure that in event of any shale gas activity, there will be full regulation, maximum safety compliance, regular independent monitoring, and full restoration of the local environment. These 2 groups have looked into all regulatory, health and community impacts. The Council is a statutory consultee on the 2 current applications in Fylde, and the environmental concerns that you have highlighted will be included when considering a response with the quality of life for local residents and the quality of local environment, the 2 primary concerns for Council. Safety and regulation has dominated the agenda, and I have asked if there is any shale gas exploration in Fylde that the regulatory bodies are located in Fylde, on the doorstep where the activity is taking place. In that, a personal invitation to the Department of Energy and Climate Control here in Fylde, also included to the Prime Minister a letter of such. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Second question, please, Chief Executive.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question 2 is from Jessica Ashworth. Neighbourhood plan process. Brining with Wharton has embarked on our neighbourhood plan and have a launch event on the 3rd of April, had a launch event on the 3rd of April. Residents, local businesses, developers, clubs and other organisations were invited to have their say about how Wharton should develop. This process is deemed by Fylde Borough Council as critical in shaping the future of Wharton. This was emphasised by Mark Evans and others at the Wharton stakeholder meeting last November, saying that developers need to work with the community to deliver their neighbourhood plan, and that it needs to dovetail with a master plan for Wharton that addresses the major infrastructure issues. It was agreed that a working group to be set up to take this master plan forward. That was 4 months ago, but nothing appears to have happened. It is also 7 months since the consultation for the preferred options ended, and yet nothing has been announced apart from a series of meetings. Everyone appears to agree that too many houses were earmarked for Wharton, and public commitments have been given that the land allocated for housing would be reduced. The parish council and residents are very determined that the neighbourhood plan is progressed without delay, but are hamstrung by the lack of transparency and progress on both the local plan and master plan. Please can Fylde Borough Council at least provide details of what progress has been made on the so-called master plan?
Thank you. Councillor Dr Fiddler is the relevant portfolio holder for planning, and I would like to invite him to answer that question, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The question from Jessica Howarth addresses 3 issues. The first one she addresses is the perception of inactivity following the consultation of the preferred option. The second aspect, the relative significance of the Wharton Master Plan and Wharton's Neighbourhood Plan. And finally, the third aspect is the present status of the Master Plan. Mr Mayor, the consultation exercise on the preferred option was a major success when measured by the high volume of informed quality responses. It has taken longer than was originally scheduled to collate, analyse and to report to the Local Plan Steering Group for their consideration. The Steering Group in turn have also taken longer than originally planned in considering all the potential issues and alterations to the preferred option. But the very nature of this work in progress does not lend itself to a running commentary. Secondly, as a consequence of unsolicited, ad hoc countryside applications around Wharton and the potential nightmare scenario of uncoordinated large-scale development that would potentially deliver housing with little or no infrastructure, a stakeholders meeting, as expressed in the question, was held in November 2013. This was attended by landowners, developers, county, borough and parish councillors and officers from county education and highways. This was simply an attempt to persuade all parties to work together in producing a Wharton Master Plan to avoid the nightmare scenario just described. However, since the November meeting, Wharton has got its act together and published its own neighbourhood plan. As a consequence, I, as the portfolio holder, have determined there was no point in pursuing a Fylde Master Plan that simply duplicated the neighbourhood plan. And I agreed that Wharton residents were far better prepared to describe how they wanted their own community to develop. In the last 2 weeks, I have made a portfolio decision to reflect changes to the preferred option that reduces the scale of development to a level that brings it in line with that described in the Wharton Neighbourhood Plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chief Executive, I think the next question, question number 3, is from Patricia Davis.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Do I turn you?
You do when you press that one. I recently attended a Westby Parish Council meeting, which was called as an extraordinary meeting to solicit feedback from residents about their concerns in relation to fracking. Almost 60 people attended, all vehemently opposed to having fracking here. One of the points raised was about the amount of money flooding into the area and being offered to collectively buy community approval, such as Lowther Gardens grant, Fyle Rugby Club, etc. Therefore, I asked as a matter of record if the parish council or councillors in attendance could confirm that they had not taken any money or benefit from Quadrilla. It was confirmed in front of this audience that 2 of our representatives had either through their businesses or personally benefited in some way and therefore would have to declare an interest. This was a surprise to a large number in the audience. Therefore, in the interest of transparency, I would like to ask the same question of our full council of 51 members. I would like to ask for the record, have any of our local councillors taken money or benefit from Quadrilla?
Thank you, Alan. I would now like to invite Councillor Buckley to respond, please, to this question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am committed to openness and transparency in all of the council's business, and this includes openness about interests. When the law about interest was changed and was enacted in 2012, Fylde adopted a code of conduct that required councillors to register and declare a wider range of interests than suggested by government guidance. This reflects the council's approach to transparency. As already outlined in my earlier answer, interests registered by councillors under the code are published on the internet and through individual declarations made at meetings regarding specific topics. As there is a notice of motion on the council agenda this evening relating to shale gas extraction, I would expect and have heard members who may have an interest in this matter to have either registered it or, as appropriate, to declare an interest at the time it comes up for discussion. Mr. Mayor, we have heard those interests declared tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. I think that is clear, and hopefully everybody understands the position as a result of all these discussions so far. May I turn now to the next question, which is from John Miller. And Helen, could you please read this out?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can Fyle Borough Council confirm whether or not it is their intention to protect Wharton from inappropriate development in line with the wishes of the majority of residents and public statements made by, amongst others, the portfolio holder and our MP?
Thank you. Again, it falls to Councillor Dr. Fiddler to respond to this question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The question asks, will Fyle Borough Council protect Wharton from inappropriate development? And I have to ask what is meant by inappropriate development. My understanding, gleaned over the last 2 or 3 years while we've been under the central government's regime, my understanding is that those who refuse to acknowledge that Fylde, in delivering the 6,800 houses described in the local plan, has no option but to develop greenfield countryside locations outside existing settlement boundaries. Those that refuse to accept this scenario describe such countryside development as inappropriate development. Wharton is no different to any other area in Fyle Borough and is required to make its contribution to Fyle's housing numbers in countryside locations. However, in my response to the first question from Jessica Howarth this evening, I explained how Fylde has listened to the residents of Wharton and reduced the scale of housing in the preferred option to bring it in line with housing numbers in their neighbourhood plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Trevor. I now turn to question number 5, which has 2 authors, Barbara Richardson of the Rosica Residents Group and Pat Davis, Westbury with Plumpton's Resident Group. Chief Executive.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In view of the strength of public feeling opposing Quadrilla's plans to drill and hydraulically fracture for shale gas at Preston New Road and Rosica Wood, as evidenced by the thousands of objections from people right across the Fylde currently being registered on the LCC planning website, what actions have you taken to seek independent and impartial advice, other than that from the operators and government agencies who have a vested interest, to help support your constituents and to address the potentially damaging impact on our environment and protect our tourism and agricultural sectors?
Thank you. And I think the answer, hopefully the answer to this question falls to Councillor Threlfall, who is the relevant Cabinet Member.
The answer to Barbara Richardson and Pat Davis's question is, as I stated in my response to the early question to the Council, has had in place in September 2012 a shale gas member working group, and previously had extensive task and finish group for discussions or extended discussions over 12 months, which have had presentations, representations and site visits from a wide range of organisations and individuals, including operators and government agencies, but more importantly, local anti-fracking groups, independent regulators, Keele University, UGO, Arup and other local authorities that have experience in the fracking industry. The cross-party working group has focused on every aspect of the regulation, safety, environmental impact, monitoring, transport and community impacts. Myself and many of the working group members have attended numerous meetings in the local community to listen to all the views of the local people. I can assure residents that the Shale Gas Member Working Group has sought and received independent, impartial advice that will be used to inform any consultation responses to the current applications lodged with the County Council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. That, I think, concludes the questions from members of the public. And what I would like to say, just in case any feel that they wish to leave after this, although you don't need to, welcome to stay, is that we have two key issues here, housing and fracking. I think everybody appreciates the pressure that all local authorities, and we're no exception, are under with regard to the way government are moving on these issues. What I hope you have heard is that those people responsible and heading up these activities are spending a lot of time and asking a lot of questions. Now, whether there are enough questions for you, I don't know. But what I think we have heard tonight, particularly from Councillor Threlfall and Councillor Fiddler, is the amount of endeavour and work they are both doing in the context of things which are national issues which are being brought to bear. I'll say no more than that, but I think you should all be aware, if you're not already, of that context. Item number 7 is the next item on the agenda, and this is a notice of motion from Councillor Elizabeth Oates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The notice of motion is that Fylde Borough Council requests the government to put a moratorium in